A very good morning to you. You're watching TV 47. This is the Morning Cafe Show. Welcome back. I am Shiksha Arora. And in case you're wondering what we're discussing right here, right now, we are talking about jealousy. Is jealousy healthy in a relationship? Well, with me in studio, I have Lydia Ziwa, a counselor. I have Richard Ziwa, Zimbalist, a counselor as well, and evangelist James M. Darlington, senior pastor, Global Outreach Missions Heritage Assembly. So welcome to you. Thank you so much for being in studio today. We really appreciate your time as always. The WhatsApp number is 0793-267-279. Once again, you can find us on WhatsApp on 0793-267-279, or you can alternatively call us live on 0795-045-864. Would you like to be a part of this conversation as we get started? So remember, the topic is jealousy healthy in a relationship? So I'm going to start off with my first question, okay? Is a little bit of jealousy in a relationship normal, or does it signal insecurity? So maybe we can start off with you, Richard.
You started off right. Truth be told, a little jealousy is very healthy in any relationship.
Okay.
I always bully my wife and say, men were funny. We've been jealous of our own children, especially my sons when they come to my wife.
she gives them a lot of attention.
Oh, yes. So that's a little bit of jealousy between a father and his sons in context to his wife.
Okay.
How much more when it comes to other people who require time? Because when we get into a relationship, distinctly, we get into a relationship for selfish interests. I married her for my own selfish interests. I married her for me, for connection. So anything that we seek to take away that connection, whether it's being on phone, texting and replying a message for a particular length of time on social media platform, I feel a pinch of jealousy in that quest. Okay. And I'm like, those hands should be fondling me, not fondling the phone.
All right.
The same would be true. There's a reciprocity of the same kind of energy.
Right.
So a little bit of jealousy is very healthy for a relationship. Yeah.
Right. And
even he's a pastor, so he'll tell us, even God is jealous, isn't he?
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe he can tell us what exactly is the significance of jealousy in a relationship, and how much jealousy is okay.
Well, good morning to everyone, and I'm glad to be here. I would like to respond by saying jealousy really, we're looking at it in different ways, because the truth is, I want to put aside the religious aspect of it.
Yes.
Because I want us to face reality and practical stuff, because jealousy, a little jealousy, well, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, in a relationship.
In a relationship, because it's like it's part of human nature. And so therefore, but the excesses behind jealousy is where the problem is, because it causes a whole lot of damage into the relationship. And so I don't know if I will be going ahead of myself, because it will cause a whole lot of distrust. Once you keep jealousy, keep a strong way of showing jealousy, there is no trust. You will always be suspecting your partner, and instead of you walking out of it, it causes some kind of resentment, bitterness, hatred, and by the end of the day, relationship is nowhere to be seen in any way. So I think let me just stop there for now, and then. But the real significance of jealousy can cause damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lydia, what are the signs that jealousy is too much in a relationship and it's now getting to a point where it's starting to get toxic? So what are some of these signs in a relationship?
Yeah, I would say, actually, I'm talking from a lady's point of view.
Yes.
You're overly possessive. I know men don't like this question when you call them and ask them, where are you? Who are you with?
Yeah.
You know.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it.
Yeah. So I think that possessiveness, okay, it's healthy, you can ask, but no, if you're asking, what's the reason behind your asking? Are you suspicious that when they're away from you, they're with someone else? You know, there's a high level of insecurity.
Right.
And again, also, you end up being manipulative. There are cases of people who even fake illness to get their spouse or their partner to be with them because they can't stand being away from them. So if you're very uncomfortable being on your own, that's not a healthy place to be at.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And can jealousy ever be a green flag in a relationship, or is it always a red flag? Because, you know, sometimes we say that jealousy is a sign of insecurity. And we've also established that too much jealousy is not good, right? But can it ever strengthen a relationship in any way?
I think there should be a healthy balance.
Okay.
You must find a place of equilibrium in relationship that emotion in itself is not wrong. But if it's obsessive, it is wrong. But there's a place where if you're working and fostering and nurturing a healthy, vibrant relationship, that is, you want to structure your relation towards a particular trajectory, there's a place where jealousy is a healthy emotion. And one should be able to respond to that stimulus. When you see someone hugging your significant other, potentially, and sends a pinch in your heart, and you're like, that emotion is correct.
Okay.
If you see someone, let me give a case in an example. When I was dating my wife way back in time, I remember I'd just come to Nairobi, and we had come out of a convention. So in running out of the meeting, on the stairs of that place, 680 Hotel, her friend had showed up. In my culture, we're very affectionate. So we use a lot of endearments. And we do certain things out of spontaneity. So for some reason, I was excited to see her friend. She's the first friend I first met of my wife.
Okay.
Up until we were very good friends. So I hugged her and I pecked her on the cheek.
Okay. You didn't get a good reaction.
My friend, a good pinch and a good emotion of jealousy showed up. And she said, sweetheart, I didn't like that.
Okay.
Possibly if she had not mentioned it, I could have repeated the same.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's when now you draw boundaries.
She had to draw the boundaries. So that jealousy helps you to draw the boundaries and say, these are the parameters, this is a no-go zone. So it can be a green flag for a healthy relationship.
Okay. Lydia, how can partners differentiate between healthy jealousy and unhealthy possessiveness? Because sometimes when jealousy is over the top, you know, we end up calling it possessiveness.
Yes.
So how can you differentiate between the two?
Yeah, I would say, actually, if it does not, you know, some people can be so jealous that they're not even having a healthy relationship because you're stalking the person. They can't even go to the bathroom without their phones because you're always like checking. And you see, what you fear is actually going to happen. Because if you're always suspicious, if you're always thinking this person is cheating on you, it's because of your own, something you have not dealt with. Like, you know, when you look at someone else, you think you're not good enough. Actually, if I see him with someone who potentially I think they're better than me, I'll always I can have those emotions of jealousy, but there's nothing going on. It's because I've not dealt with my own insecurities. So I think the borderline is, there's no aggression.
Okay.
Because people even who end up being physical.
Yeah.
I meet my husband or my partner with someone just having innocent lunch, maybe it's even a business partner.
Yeah.
And they start throwing glasses, you know, and hurling insults. And they lose the business, and eventually we lose because there's no money. So I think there should be where you draw the balance and know this is crossing overboard.
Okay.
There are people even, I've seen cases where women who take their husbands' phones and they start calling all the numbers they were dialed.
What?
Yes. So it's so strange. I get such a call. I'm a coach, maybe I'm working with someone as a coach, and I get a call from a woman and it tells me, stop talking to my husband.
Wow.
Because they saw 6 minutes call. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, is jealousy linked to a lack of self-esteem? Because you did mention that sometimes when you are jealous about something and when you're extremely jealous, it could be that there's something lacking in you and it comes from a place of lack of self-worth maybe. So how can a partner try and work on themselves so that they are able to get rid of these feelings also by boosting their own self-esteem and confidence?
I think it's always true that if you are working with your partner in the aspect, and you're looking at yourself with a low self-esteem,
Yes.
and then it means that you're always feel insecurity, and then at the same time, instead of you trying to, if you work on yourself and try to trust your partner, and knowing that, but knowing that there is nothing he can do without you. And I usually say, a relationship without friendship,
Right.
there is always going to be a trouble in that relationship. Yeah. So if you have friendship in your relationship, there will be no need, because all the time you are thinking together, you are saying the same things together, and you are interested in your partner's activities.
Yes.
And so therefore, there will be, and you always want to interact with each other and share fun, share your day's activities with each other. And so there would be no need for mistrusting.
Okay.
And then, therefore, you will be able to roll well. But the problem of low self-esteem is the fact that you look at yourself, you're not fit for this kind of a person. But it's like, it's too much for me. And so if I see anybody that looks
A certain kind of way.
In his own class or level, I will become so insecure
about myself.
Myself. And then again, another thing is the fact that some of the things that really causes those things of mistrust is the fact that maybe some past, some cheating in the past in their relationship. If someone has cheated his friend, there's always going to be suspicion in the process.
Okay.
So.
Okay. We'll get back to that, because that's a very important point that you've raised. But Richard, you mentioned that even when you guys were together and you were dating, there was something that you did that she didn't quite like, and it was maybe even innocent on your part, but she communicated it to you, and you were like, okay, this is the boundary that she's placed, and we shall not ever cross that boundary. But like, how exactly does a partner communicate something without creating conflict? How do they try and tell you what they're feeling regarding what you've done, or something that they've seen that they're not quite comfortable with, and do it in a way that does not cause conflict in the relationship?
You see, there's power in words, eh?
Yeah.
And once words come out of you, you can't come back. I think there's a place in, like he has said, James, when you're friends, the foundation of our relationship that we're friends.
Yes.
We're friends several years before we ever dated.
Yeah.
And that foundation give us a healthy way to communicate, always to talk about anything and everything and nothing at all. So when she says something as my friend, I know she has my best interest at heart. Her commitment to bring to light a misdemeanor conduct, a behavior pattern that is not consistent with what she would ideally want, I trusted it, because I know she has me. She has my interest at best.
Absolutely.
And this is her friend she's talking about. She wouldn't want also to lose her friend in light of the fact that I did something that was not matched up to her expectation.
Okay.
So since I genuinely cared to validate her feeling and her emotion,
Right.
I took a backstage and say, I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
That is the first, and that will be the last.
Okay. Now, Lydia, James mentioned a very important point about something stemming from the past.
Yes.
It could be a trigger from a previous relationship, or it could be something that has happened in the past that has caused you to be very insecure. In such relationships, how exactly do partners get past the past? How exactly do you kind of overcome that obstacle? Because when there is cheating in the past, or when there is something that has happened, that a partner now has to kind of forgive and forget. But now, at the same time, you're seeing something, and now it may be innocent or it may be harmless, but your mind still goes back to the past. You're still triggered from the past. How does a partner overcome such feelings?
I believe, personally, like from my own life, I believe therapy.
Therapy.
Yes. Especially if it's very extreme. Because sometimes you can lose a good thing because of what happened in the past. Because I'm looking at the person I have currently through the lens of what happened in the past.
Yes.
I see him just calling someone, I think it's another woman because you have faced betrayal.
Yes.
You see him hanging out with someone, or even just an innocent hug, I overreact. But it's because of something, a betrayal in the past. So I think the first thing is your own, working on your own. And I know most of the time we don't want to face that we need therapy.
Yeah.
Go for their therapy. Especially if you have been through a traumatic relationship. Because you think, some people interpret like someone being overly possessive, they think it's love. But actually, there's a problem. They think, this person calls me after every 10 minutes, they love me.
No.
And actually, that person is possessive.
Yeah.
And you know,
there's a problem
because
there.
you have not, there's some issues you have, and the issue also from the other person, maybe from the gentleman.
Yes.
You're thinking, wow, he loves me. And actually, for the man, it's just overtly possessive.
Yeah.
And also for the woman, because she has been abandoned before, she
Yes.
thinks this one is now what I need. Someone who is just
Yeah.
always
She
24/7
has
with me.
abandonment issues.
Pick me, drop me, just be with me 24/7. And you think because he's with me, he can be with anyone else. So I think that's also looking from both genders, the balance that if you have traumatic experiences from the past, before you transfer them, the projection to the new partner that you have, please seek help. Normalize getting therapy. I've seen it work even in my personal life, where you just talk to someone, talk to a therapist, talk to a counselor, because you can actually destroy what you have, and it is working because of what you have not dealt with in the past.
That's good.
Okay. And James, as you had mentioned that this could be a reason for the mistrust or a reason for the jealousy can stem from the past. Is there a way to rebuild such relationships? Lydia has mentioned a very important point that therapy is so important because you need to work on yourself. But what else can a partner do to be able to rebuild that trust in that particular relationship that was on the verge of collapsing or failing, but now you're trying to work on things and you've forgotten the past and you're trying to move forward? So what exactly do you do to rebuild that level of trust that was lost?
I think for me, you have to face the reality that I'm jealous, and I am not comfortable with this, and I have to face my partner and say, hey, this is it, and this is how I feel about the way you are treating me. I feel you're abandoning me. You don't stay with me. You don't keep my time, and so therefore I need your attention. And the way to respond to that is to be understanding and know that your partner doesn't like this. And so you just need to, like he said, sorry, and of course, this is my boundary. I will not cross it
Again.
Yeah. And so I want to keep you. So you also have to make sure, on the one end, if I'm the side of the jealousy side of things, I will first of all face the reality, say this is how I feel.
Yes.
And if I am on the other side of the jealousy aspect, and that I am the one being jealous for certain things I'm doing, I should be sensitive enough to listen to my partner's submission and give some kind of assurance.
Yeah.
And reassure him or her that, hey, because of this, I understand how you feel.
But I'll do better.
I'll do better. And I want you to know I still care about you and I love you. Just let's keep going, I think that's how I can handle that.
All right. So with that, we'll take a short break. We'll be back and definitely continue this conversation because there's a lot of questions that arise when it comes to jealousy and what the implications are in a relationship in long term. So, it could definitely ruin relationships just because of mistrust and jealousy. So we'll talk about that in a short while. So make sure you stay right here. This is TV47. You're watching the Morning Cafe Show as we talk about jealousy in relationships. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I met the stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
Back. This is TV 47. I am Shiksha Arora. You're watching the Morning Cafe show. And in case you're wondering what we're discussing right now, it's about relationships. Is jealousy healthy in a relationship? So with me, I have a very able panel. And of course, we're talking about this and we're just discussing jealousy in relationships and what it does in the long run and how it kind of ruins a relationship sometimes, or it could even strengthen a relationship in some instances. So I'm going to talk about gender and cultural differences in relationships and how different genders and of course different cultures, they perceive jealousy differently. So are there any differences in different genders and of course with regards to cultures as well? Is jealousy perceived differently amongst men and women, and of course in different cultures as well? Is there a different tolerance to jealousy?
Well, I think in my view, with men, well, let me talk about myself. My own man, I don't pay attention too much with things that will get me distracted.
Okay.
And I'm not interested into searching, digging. Yeah, so, but for some other men will always want to start digging and checking.
They want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Why is she doing this? Why is her behavior like this? You know, for me, what you give to me is what I take, because I have a principle that I tell myself, I don't want nothing to disturb me, to distract my living, because if you are distracted, you will not be able to do a lot of things. And especially relationship have the propensity to derail your progress in everything that you do. And so you want to do something significant, when you allow that to hit you, you are distracted. You can't be able to do anything. So that is it for me and for men. Some men are just too repulsive. They can react too fast, you know, and sometimes become too violent.
Okay.
And start using their power in all ways. And then for, let's say, I don't know if culturally, because I don't know the different cultures like here. Yeah, for us, culturally, it's just a normal thing that if I see my wife or my person with another person that I'm not satisfied with, it's just to react and show them that I'm in charge here. I'm in charge and I must take control of everything. And so that is just what it is. And then I think it's not very healthy at all.
Okay.
Because if you always show as if you are the one in charge, taking control of the relationship.
Like having the upper hand.
Yes. And so, I mean, it's not going to keep any good and healthy relationship at all. Otherwise, it's like the other party is under slavery.
Okay. Lydia, how exactly is jealousy perceived and expressed as women, right? Is it different from men? I do know that obviously, when it comes to anger, temperament is an issue with men sometimes.
Dominant
some men. Yeah, I'm not going to stereotype, generalize. As I said, some men, but women as well. We also have anger issues, right? Some women also have extremely high temperaments, and when you don't like something, you express it. You can shout, you can scream, you can cry, because we are emotional. Women are more emotional than men. So when it comes to how we perceive and express jealousy, is it any different from men?
I think it is, because most of the time, for most women, there'll be outbursts of anger.
Yes.
Crying, you know, some beg. No, I think there's an extreme also begging. You don't want the man to leave, or even to even go out for business or travel out. So they bring in this manipulative kind of behavior, because you want to control the person. But I think for the women, it's so strong because we are, I don't know, I'm talking from a woman's point of view, we have this thing of possessiveness. Like, if it's my baby, it's my husband, it's mine, I don't want to see this person with anyone else. So I think it's expressed in a lot of possessiveness. To a point, it can be unhealthy, because this person cannot even like breathe. You're always on their neck because of jealousy.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, and what about you, Richard, in your experience as a counselor, right, in some of the cases that you've dealt with, how damaging is jealousy for a relationship? Have you had instances where literally a couple comes to you or someone comes to you and says, you know, I'm walking out of this relationship because my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or my boyfriend is always on their phone, they're always on phone calls, you know, every time I ask where they are, they don't reply to me, there's no communication, and I can't deal with this anymore, so I'm walking out?
Thank you, Shiksha. Jealousy is a response to a stimulus to love. Where there's a lack of love and reciprocity, always causes a consciousness, subconscious conduct from the other significant other to be jealousy, and rightly so. The best would be, in my own case in point, that we need to understand that we're different. What a man does, I think my thoughts, but she expresses her thoughts. You should find a place, a margin where you harmonize that experience. There's nothing wrong with her experiencing her thoughts and expressing them. And there's nothing wrong with me thinking my thoughts are not expressing them. We are actually doing the same thing except at a different wavelength. So you could be in a cultural experience like some of the things I've seen back home in my own country. He comes from Sierra Leone, I come from Uganda. In my own country, when you see in my culture, the wife has to kneel for the spouse, the father, the elders within my family context. It would be a different experience if my wife kneels for other men and does not kneel for me. It's an expression of love and affection and respect.
Right.
It will bring a pinch of jealousy. We can do it once, twice, thrice. But thrice, that is intentional conduct. Now, if I respond in a particular way, don't misquote me, I am man. I've been thinking about it before I say it. But for her sake, she's experiencing it. Her commitment to kneel, not everyone kneels in my culture. There are those who kneel, but actually they are standing. So the different cultural interpretations. But when you look at the bigger construct of relationship is, we need to be empathetic, kind one toward another. For love must be kind. And in that commitment, there are things you do that will trigger your spouse or your significant partner negatively. Take closer look at it. Don't ignore it as be passive about it like it's a non-issue. No. It's not that they're just being emotional. They are wired that way, and there's nothing wrong with it. All you need is to work with that particular strength to validate your relationship. He's always into his thought. He does not care. He does care. Actually, it's only that he's not verbalizing it. You just need to get him talking. Especially if you have a man who's not talking, get that man talking. You'll be amazed some of the things he will say about the same thing you're thinking about.
Okay. James, you mentioned something about power and how, you know, sometimes the partner wants to have the upper hand and they want to display dominance. How exactly does jealousy really pan out when it comes to balancing the relationship? Does being a jealous partner give you the upper hand in the relationship? And how do you keep things equal?
Well, it depends on how the perception of how people see a relationship. And some people think, especially men, in my setting, when they think they are the ones in charge. And so they must be the one giving instruction, directives. And their view is very important to pay attention to. And little or no attention is given to the woman's view, you know, and so that is a serious problem. But if we try to begin to listen to each other and pay attention and with us to ourselves, then we will be able to guard our relationship and move on, you know, the way we're supposed to be moving, and make sure the relationship is always intact. But if one party is thinking that I'm the one, that every word that I said must be, you know, that is a big problem. You know, and so it's also two ways. It can be also to the women. There are some women also that can always say, it's my word. You know, it's my word, and it must be followed. And some men are so quiet, they don't talk, they just don't say anything, but at least we should be able to keep the balance by listening to each other and make sure we not just listening, make sure we pay attention to the things that my partner is telling me I don't like, or this is what I'm doing, and I should also say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do. What do you think about it? You reason together rather than one side is taking charge of everything. This is not good at all. That is exactly what will work in a relationship and keep the relationship stronger. Otherwise, you're losing it. Because one person can be going this direction, the other person will be going the other direction. And if there is no understanding, no peace in the house, then how can you keep that relationship? You know? So that's it.
Right. Now, Lydia, how does social media and technology affect this modern relationships that we're in?
Oh my God.
You know, like for example, Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure you have people coming to you and telling you scenarios where my man has been liking this girl's pictures, or my man is following these many women, I don't like it. My man is constantly chatting, you know, reacting to this person's Instagram pictures, and I don't understand it. It could be the opposite as well. You know, my woman is always talking to this man and liking his pictures. So things are different these days. Because back in the day, you didn't have any of this.
We're too exposed.
Now we are extremely exposed, and we're in a generation where it is the options are limitless, right? Especially when you're on the internet. The amount of photos that you see of people of the other gender, you know, they cause sometimes feelings of temptation. So how exactly do you maneuver around modern relationships?
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
I
you
love
know,
that.
the reality is we're in a different dispensation, especially when it comes to relationships, because your choices are unlimited.
Yeah.
You open, you know, your gadget or your phone, and you get to see even people who they DM.
Yeah.
You know, it's no longer the way it used to wait for post office box. It's happening live in real time. So I think also it takes personal responsibility on a person.
Yeah.
Because if I say that I'm going to respond to everything, I'm going to like every man on my timeline, I think it will also be reflecting on who I am. You know, that's why values are so important. Yeah, what are your values in the first place?
Right.
Because if you say, because I have these choices, I have to grab all of them, you're not Solomon, you know. Where you're going to have all this, because you're having all these women coming after you, and you're like, you know, I can't help it. They DM'd me.
What do I do?
What do I do? I'm this hot cake, you know. So you have to be, you choose. The power of choice is still given to us, because you're presented with all these maybe men or women. You know, it's no longer just the women. Also, the women also have choices.
Absolutely.
But you choose that I'm sticking with this person because of my values. Not that I don't have choices, not that I don't have opportunities, but I've just made a choice. So the power of choice is quite critical.
Very, very, very wise words there. Now, Richard, what role does jealousy play in different kinds of relationships? You know, in the beginning, you mentioned something very interesting, and you said that you're jealous of your children sometimes because they get majority of your wife's time and attention. So in terms of relationships such as with your brother, with your siblings, your relationship with friends, even at work sometimes, you know, when you're in the office and you feel like your boss is giving a co-worker more attention, you do feel a certain pinch sometimes, and you're like, wow, I am feeling jealous now. Am I not doing my job well enough? Or there are these different scenarios that could end up into those feelings of jealousy. So how does jealousy play out in different relationships? And how do you try and kind of overcome the feeling of jealousy in different relationships?
Thank you, Shiksha. She runs an organization called Beyond Success Equip Kenya.
Okay.
It's a personal growth and leadership program for Dr. John Maxwell. In lesson number 4, there's something they scripted in there about relationship. And then my most important relationship. You cannot ignore a relationship, especially building and fostering a healthy relationship. Whether it's in a workspace, whether it's in a friend, among peers and friends, whether it's extended family members, colleagues, you need to place a huge premium on relationship, because you cannot become a better version of yourself outside the construct of the relationship that surround you on an everyday experience.
Right.
You can't ignore your family members, extended family members. You can't ignore colleagues that you work with, especially like here. You can't ignore them. Even if you try to, you meet in the corridors.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way you place a personal emphasis to grow and foster a healthy relationship. Now, when jealousy is in the workspace, it's one for you to be a preferred host and moderator for this show, in contrast to other people, because the boss has a particular liking for you, because you've placed a need to grow and create a healthy, safe working environment vis-a-vis the other individual.
Yeah.
So it is work. So in my own experience, I would say that jealousy is necessary to stir us to do better, to work on ourselves, introspect yourself, find those areas in your life that need improvement or distinct change. Some of them, they don't need improvement. You need to change completely. Change the way you think, because the world around you is viewed by the lens that you use. So if you think everyone around you is against you, most likely you won't foster a healthy relationship around work. If you think that everyone is for you, chances are there's no need to have a cutthroat competitive behavior that breeds jealousy in a workspace.
Yeah.
If it is family members, if you're not visiting your family and let's say my wife is not visiting my family, but constantly we're visiting her family.
Yes.
They will breed a sense of jealousy towards the other side that is not visited if you don't balance.
There has to be a balance.
You need to create that balance. If it is among friends, a relationship of colleagues and friends, and I see you spend a certain amount of time being conversational, because we are created for conversation in a relationship. But if you're constantly sitting in one space talking to this particular individual outside the context of others, I'm like, give me a break. He's not the only one in this office, or he's not the only one in this space. So you need to create a balance and draw some parameters, draw some limits, healthy limits that will work and foster health in your relationships.
Okay. Now, James, how exactly do you deal with burnout in a relationship when you are dating or married to somebody who is constantly jealous, constantly expressing these feelings of jealousy towards you, you know, insecurity when it comes to where you are, what are you doing, what time are you coming home, why are you with this person, the constant questions that arise. So how do you deal with this burnout just so that you're able to have a peaceful relationship, if at all it's possible?
You're
and if
depleting.
You're constantly draining me with these questions and with your feelings of jealousy.
Nagging all the time. Well, before I go to that, there was something that came to me when Lydia was talking about things online. I discovered that some people just like flirting online with people. That is just something for them. It's like a game they're playing. And this is one area we need not to play a game with jealousy, around jealousy. And because if we are playing games, it will create a whole lot of trouble, you know. So coming to this aspect of being burnt out, you know, you can really be drained with a whole lot of the same questions, the same aspect of God. You'll be outside and be thinking of coming home, and you're thinking, what next?
What next?
What is going to happen? What is she going to say next? I mean, it's like you'll be literally worried.
Walking on eggshells.
Yes, and say, what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, your home is no more a peaceful place for you to go.
You're just stressed.
You're just stressed, just thinking about the fact that you are coming home. You're stressed out.
Who are you with? Who are you talking to?
I mean, it's good to come and say, hey, let's sit down and talk.
Okay.
What is the problem?
All right.
What is it that is really causing you to get to this place? And earlier on I told you, you got to reassure the person here.
Yeah, very important.
I want you to understand, I care about you, I love you. So there's no need for all of this. And I will also have to show that, because you don't just say it, you got to leave it and act upon what you're saying. You know, so, and your partner will now be able to begin to understand, and you are reassure. And if you see it's not working, like initially Lydia said, both of you need to seek a therapist so that you can be able to walk through it. But if you cannot go past that and solve the situation, then, I mean, you might have to begin to think of something else. If this is not working, it's not working.
Yeah.
No
Lydia,
matter what we do.
Yeah. Thank you. Lydia, what are your thoughts about the same? Especially since you're a counselor, and I'm sure you've had scenarios and cases where a partner is burnt out and they're just walking out of the relationship solely because of the fact they're tired. They feel depleted, they feel drained, and they don't have anything to give anymore. They don't have that validation in them or words of affirmation to now keep reassuring their partner because they're tired. So how do you deal with such a case, and what exactly would you advise this person? Do you think that maybe, the best thing to do is just walk out, or how can they deal with this partner who's extremely jealous?
Wow. Thank you for that. You know, initially you mentioned something about the green and the red flags. And I think most of the time you see them beforehand, and instead of fighting for something which will kill you, those are people who tell you, because they're so jealous, they're like, I'd rather die than lose you. So that's already a serious
red flag.
Don't think it's romantic when someone says I better die. It's very dangerous, because they're saying something, I can't afford to lose you. I have at least a personal case of someone who was burnt on the face by the husband.
Because
she felt of jealousy.
Yeah.
And you see, I think it's so
Ooh.
dangerous, especially for men who are quiet.
Yeah.
Because she got to a place, she's like, my man is cool. He doesn't even ask me anymore who I'm with. So she'd go out, come back, you know, hang out and do all these things. But the man is just in the house quietly. Then one time she gets in and the man burns her face with hot water.
Oof.
Reason being, it's your pretty face which is sin. So from now on, you'll be home because there's no one who will see that pretty face.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that's the extreme of jealousy.
Unfortunate, yeah.
Yeah, so it's important to see, when you see the red flags, don't just say this man loves me too much or this woman loves me too much. I've heard even people who say, I'd rather get that man a cripple than lose him as a woman. So there are people who plan crazy things because of jealousy. So if as a man or a woman, this is in both scenarios.
Yeah.
Because, you know, men are more aggressive, but the women can plan out for a longer time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in both cases, it's good to just take note of the red flags. Don't wait until it's too late.
Yeah.
If you feel this thing is not working out, take a break from each other. You know, we're talking about the burnout. Take that break, seek help. But if it's a life-threatening situation because of that jealousy, please run.
Run.
Because you don't have to sit there and say, oh, he loved me so much, he maimed me. You've seen on the media.
Yeah.
People who've been burnt, you know, their hands have been chopped off because the man felt that you're spending too much time maybe at workplace. Some people even just envious of the workplace, not even another man. You're rising in your career, you're flying high, and they feel that, no, you're becoming this high-profile woman, I can't stand it. So they want to traumatize you. They even go to your office and cause a scene that you're sleeping with the boss and you're fired, so that they can have you all to themselves. So it's good to look at these red flags and take note of them. And when it's, don't wait for it until it's too late.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richard, can jealousy also stem from emotional dependency? And this could be from the past, could be from your childhood, because, you know, you have attachment issues sometimes, abandonment issues from your parents as well. So do you think this jealousy stems from emotional dependency?
Yeah, partly so. And she mentioned it, sometimes we filter life through the lens of the past experiences we've gone through. If there are traumas that you've gone through in the past, abandonment and dejectedness, quite likely you'll be clingy on any relationship that comes around. Let me give a case in point. I didn't grow up with my mother, my birth mother who gave birth to me. I was separated from my mother when I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So I was raised by my stepmom with my dad. So in that sense, we had too many kids born with my dad, with my mom. We're about 12. And here comes the 13th. Quite likely, I'll be clingy on any relationship that smells like love and affection. It's quite likely my dad didn't have that much time for every one of us. Neither did mom have a commitment to be there for everyone. So outside the family union, you create bonds with friends.
Okay.
I noted growing up, there's a behavior pattern that is clingy, that is coming out of me, and I knew this is not healthy.
Yeah.
So I began a way to help myself, to heal me. And I would say to someone, please heal yourself. And one way to heal yourself, find a way you look for a therapist, a counselor to help you to heal you from your trauma. Number two, if you can't afford a therapist, there are podcasts that are addressing the same need in that area that you're vulnerable or you have a tendency to behave in a way that is not necessarily attractive.
Yeah.
Or find a good book and read. There are too many manuscripts, books that you can read and glean off that material to help you to recover you from you. Take note, recover you from you, not other people, you. You're the subject of interest. Put a huge premium to become a better version of yourself. And as you do, some of these things will fall off naturally.
Okay.
Then you begin to foster and work on healthy relationships because you can't give what is not in you.
Absolutely.
But if it's in you, you find a way to give it. And if it's in you, you find a way to attract it. You attract after your kind.
Very well said, Richard.
Must be intentional then.
Absolutely, being more intentional. And thank you so much for those wise words. We'll take a short break, but we'll be back in just a moment. Remember, you're watching the Morning Cafe Show, and this is TV 47. Don't go anywhere.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents, zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one we're going to do half cup.
Welcome back. This is the Morning Cafe Show.
So,
you are watching
grab your
TV
imagination
47. I
hat
am
and
Shiksha
get ready
Aurora,
to
and
explore
we are
with us.
discussing relationships.
Join us
We've
every
been doing so for the
Saturday
past
at 9
hour.
a.m.
And thank you so much for
new
tuning in.
friends,
We're glad that you're
amazing
enjoying this
stories,
topic.
and
So we continue to
tons
have
of
that
laughter.
conversation for a few more minutes before we wrap up. And I'd like to go on to a very important topic that when we talk about relationships, when we talk about jealousy, we also need to keep in mind that mental health is a big factor, right? If you don't have a stable mind, if you are struggling mentally, then it's going to manifest into your relationship.
Join us
It's
as we
going to
explore
show
the journeys of those
when you
who
are with a
defy the odds
partner,
and
you will
break
feel
barriers.
very anxious, you'll have panic, there'll be some
dive
sort
deep
of
into the stories of
anxiety
triumph.
that comes with just being with this person, and you end up being an anxious lover. So how exactly do you improve your mental health just so that you're able to have a healthier relationship?
Here, we inspire.
You can start first.
Yeah, well,
showcase with that
mentally, really, it's always good to be sane
Motivate.
and
But what we do,
really positive in the way you do things.
Yeah.
And but I think
And break through
there's a way you
barriers
deal with
one
yourself.
story at a
And
time.
if you don't start
Push
with
your
yourself,
boundaries
and
beyond
like he
the
said,
limit.
first of all,
Saturdays
that
at 8
you got
p.m.
to you got to help yourself from yourself, because you really got to make sure you present a better you know. And if that is not working, then it is something
where business
you actually
meets
are conscious
brilliance.
of.
It's not
Yeah,
just
because
about the
it
ideas.
will always tell on the way you react to issues
It's
and
about
things.
making them
And so
happen.
you must
From
be able
big
to come and
wins.
say, "Hi, James, I must come to the place and say, no, there's something wrong with me. I need a change."
To hard lessons.
Once I get to that place, I need to do something about myself
We cover it all.
and allow
Tune
some
into the
positive
grind,
energy
where every episode
to
is
be able
packed
to
with
get me working
insights.
out.
The person
into
is
something.
serving
So you need
customers.
some
Always be
positivity
a
in your
customer
life.
In yourself.
Yeah.
Strategies.
Thank you so much for that, James. We actually have a caller on the line, and that's Simiu
And stories
Gilbert.
to
Good
fuel
morning
your
to you,
ambition.
Simiu. How are you
Don't
today?
just dream it. Grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Hello, Good morning. Are you still
morning
on the
to
line,
you.
Simiu? I think we may have lost him.
Morning to you.
Try and get him back on the line. But yes, as we continue to have this conversation, maybe Lydia, you can tell us, how do you maintain
Jiunge nasi
a
tunapoangazia
stable
safari
mind?
za
How do you
viongozi
try and keep your mental health, sane, just so that you're able to foster a more
kutoka
healthier
kwa ushindi
relationship?
mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Cannot give what not have.
Yeah.
You first have to be like you say, being sane, being sober.
Tunashughulikia
Because
yote.
who you are is
I
who you
wish I
bring to the
were better
relationship.
invested.
You can't separate it, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's in a marriage, whether it's in a dating. That's who you
Tazama,
are.
mfahamu kiongozi.
Yeah, you
Ambapo
attract
kila
what you are.
kipindi
So if you have
kimejaa
not been
maarifa,
able to deal with,
mikakati
get
na
help,
hadithi
if
za
you
kukuza
need
azma
to get
yako.
help. You know, there are people who may never voice it,
Kila
but they know
Alhamisi saa
mentally they are not
1:30.
okay. They're hearing these voices, they are having these, these traumas, anxiety, to a point where they are awkward in relationships.
Do you know, I'm sorry to cut you short, but I've actually had a friend of mine who was in a relationship with somebody who was not okay, but they refused to accept it. So the things that manifested in the relationship was something that had been happening over the years in this person's previous relationships. So it was a cycle, and it kept going on and on until she had to walk away because it was, continuous, the whole cheating and this thing that was. It's very common these days, and you see it online as well about how celebrities also are talking about this. So cheating, I feel these days is extremely common because we said that
Vile
options
unavyojua
are
watoto wengi
unlimited,
sana
right?
hawana
So
namna.
when you
Mimi
accept that you have a
ningependelea,
problem and you seek
watoto
help,
wasome.
that's how you kind of break from that cycle, right? And just, I think,
to
I don't
any
know, I
kind
don't
of
want
sport
to
that we
again
are doing.
generalize,
Sport speaks the
but
best language to
men
everybody.
generally, some
Wanataka
men
stop the
refuse
talents.
to accept that
Zile raw
there
talents
is an
kutoka
issue
kule
that
nyumbani
they
mashinani
have.
mahali
They say, this is just how I
Hizi mbio za
am. This is just how I've been
like
brought
all
up.
other
So I feel
sports,
like with men
zinaleta watu
especially,
pamoja.
someone needs to constantly remind them and tell them that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to go for therapy. It's okay to visit a counselor.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto wanakimbia last year wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Because of an internal issue that you have. So you think maybe you're thinking, the more I appear like I have this number of women, I'll be accepted. But it's because you have not, there's something within you that is broken. So when you talk about mental health and relationship, you can't separate the two.
Yeah.
Because you are projecting who you are in the relationship. So if you're broken, you're being a broken person.
Hey there,
you're
friends.
wounded,
Welcome to
ultimately
Kids
end up
on the
wounding
Block,
other people.
where fun
So first
and
of all, you just have
imagination
to
come
heal
alive.
you, like it says, heal you before you even bring in other
We
people
dive
into the
into
picture.
magical world
all right.
filled
Thank
with
you so much for that,
exciting
Lydia.
adventures
And what about you,
and
Richard?
awesome
What are your
friends.
thoughts on this matter when it comes
As
to
number
just
2.
kind
What
of
position are you?
exhibiting
Number 1.
issues
He
mentally,
decided
right? When
to
you
cross
have
the
some
bridge
sort of
by his house and
mental
look for food on the
instability,
other side.
sometimes you have
You're going to
anxiety,
do
sometimes you have
half cup
panic attacks,
of
and then
chocolate
these kind of
chips,
manifest into the
and the
relationship.
other one,
And you show
you're going to
signs
do
of
half cup of the
extreme jealousy,
blueberries.
extreme
So,
insecurity.
grab
how
your
do you work on
imagination
yourself
hat
first,
and
just
get
so that
ready
you have a
to
healthier
explore with
relationship
us.
with your partner?
Join us every Saturday at 9
You cannot
a.m.
change
for
what you
new
don't
friends,
acknowledge in your life.
amazing stories, and
That's the first
tons
place you
of
need to
laughter.
I'm going to use that on my Instagram caption. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge in your life.
If you don't acknowledge that you have a problem, bad life will not have help. There's no self-deceived person like a person who thinks, I don't need help.
Yeah.
We all need help. It's okay
Join us as we
to be
explore
not
the
okay.
journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers.
It is very okay.
If you find that
We dive
as a
deep
true
into
north,
the
it's
stories of
okay
triumph.
not to be
Depends
okay.
when parenting
It gets to a place where you introspect yourself and find the authentic, vulnerable you that will always source for help to meet the
Here,
need
we
that you were not
inspire.
willingly. If you ask honestly, especially men, we hate to be vulnerable.
Motivate.
Yeah.
We hate to be vulnerable and say,
I'm not okay, I have a problem.
We don't like going to the
we don't
to the
see
doctor.
a doctor.
One story at a time.
Even to admit your wife.
No boundaries.
Yeah.
Beyond the limit. Saturdays at
I
8
remember
p.m.
being with my wife and we're diving the whole day, we're doing so many things. But I'd had a heart palpitation probably for so long.
And you didn't want to accept it.
And I did not want to tell her. It had been going on for pretty much about 3 months.
The grind.
But got to a place where I'm
business
driving
meets brilliance.
home after
It's not
parking,
just about the
getting to
ideas.
the bedroom, I'm taking off my jacket and putting the car keys down.
It's about
told her,
making them
"Sweetheart,
happen.
we need to go
From
to the
big
hospital
wins.
now."
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "By the time I'm telling you, it's been
To
going on for
hard
so long.
lessons.
It's time to go to hospital." By the time we get to the hospital,
We cover it
they say,
all.
you're
Tune
not
in
going
to The
back home.
Grind, where every
So
episode is
it's
packed
okay
with
not to be okay
insights,
and admit it, then ask for help.
Always
Ask
be
for
a
therapy
customer-centric.
and counseling,
strategies,
and find a companionship of accountability that will hold you
and
accountable in a
stories to
particular
fuel your
area
ambition.
you're
Don't
weak in
just
that
dream it.
needs
Grind
emphasis
it.
to grow. Emphasis
Mondays
places
at
importance on the
7:30
point.
p.m.
Okay.
If the point is you need help, be emphatic about it and help.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. As we wind up, I'd like to get your parting shots. I'd like to get just, in a few words, is jealousy healthy in a relationship? We'll start off with you,
Jiunge
James.
nasi tunapoangazia
Well,
safari za viongozi bora.
Two ways. To some extent, as long as it's not causing any
Kutoka
trouble,
kwa ushindi
then
mkubwa
that's
hadi
okay.
masomo
That's helping you
magumu.
to build the relationship. But by the time it gets outside of that, wherein you're
Tunashughulikia yote.
being violent, and you need to pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we need to get out of
Tazama
that
mfahamu
and admit the
kiongozi
fact that I'm jealous,
ambapo kila
and this
kipindi
is not healthy.
kimejaa
It's
maarifa,
taking me out of it.
mikakati
Alright. What
na
about you, Lydia?
hadithi za
I would say
kukuza
watch out
azma
for the red
yako.
flags stemming from jealousy. Don't just sit
Kila
there watching and
Alhamisi
saying,
saa 1
interpreting it as
unusu.
love, and it's jealousy, which can be harmful.
And what about you, Richard?
Be jealous about your wife. Don't feel bad about it. Be jealous about your children. It's okay.
Okay.
But if it's obsessive jealousy, it brings self-harm and harm to others. That is something to watch out for. And ultimately, it's a good emotion.
Okay.
But out of balance, it's a bad emotion.
All right. Very well said. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. We really had I think, a very good in-depth conversation on this particular topic. And I'm glad that you're able to give your thoughts on the same. And yes, thank you so much for watching. As always, we appreciate your time. We value you as our audience. Thank you once again.